Welcome to episode number 53. I'm Luke Winstel. This is the Luke Winstel Show. Today I'm joined by Ryan Broyles, former Oklahoma and Detroit Lions wide receiver. Ryan was drafted in the second round by the Detroit Lions after being one of the best players ever to play college football, finishing top 3 in FBS history in total catches and total yards for a career. Ryan made headlines while he was in the NFL because he lived on $60,000 a year despite a multi-million-dollar contract. He chose to live within his means so that he could be prepared for life after football, which is where he is now after retiring from the NFL in 2015 and the XFL in this past year. On the show with Ryan, we talked about the Oklahoma football program, playing in Detroit for the Lions, and more. Now we'll dive into the interview. Ryan, thank you for joining me on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I'm excited to talk with you today. My first question for you, what was your life like growing up?
What was my life like growing up, man? Well, I guess that's a loaded question, but man, I'm from Norman, Oklahoma. Grew up with 3 other siblings. Went to grade school right here in Norman, Oklahoma. Lived here all the way through high school, played college ball here in Norman, Oklahoma as well, with the University of Oklahoma. And, we were just active kids. We're always into sports. My parents worked 2 jobs sometimes, so we always understood, what it took to be successful. And so they definitely showed that way with their work mentality. And then they obviously always wanted the best from us in school, strive for us to be great, I guess, kids. And at the end of the day, man, just great people. So that's a little snapshot of my childhood.
How were you first introduced to the game of football?
Second grade, I started playing football. My father is from Chicago, so he was a big Bears fan. So it was always Chicago Bears or the Dallas Cowboys. Since I'm here in Oklahoma, football was always on TV. Second grade, my parents were like, all right, it's time for you to go out there. So started playing flag football at that time and really got introduced to all sports, I guess officially in second grade, but we grew up, man. I remember holding the football at 3 years old, so sports has always been a part of our life.
Well, when was the moment when you realized that you could be a collegiate and eventually a pro athlete?
Man, I've always had aspirations of being an NFL athlete. In second grade when I started playing football, I wanted to be Terrell Davis, a running back. So obviously NFL was always on TV on Sundays. So I always had aspirations of making it there. But I guess the big aha moment for me would probably be in 7th grade when one of my coaches, which was one of my best friend's dads, he saw me grow up and I was a running back. And he was like, Ryan, if you want to make it to the next level, at least into college, you need to go from running back or actually quarterback from running back, and then you need to play receiver. So at that moment in 7th grade, he was like, hey, let's go ahead and move you over here, learn a skill set that we think you're going to excel at. So Scott Hecox is the one that pretty much directed me, and I just started building my skills at the receiver position after that.
Well, you're very well known for having an exceptional college career. You're on the all-time FBS leaderboards in both career catches and career yards. And recently, multiple outlets have named you to the Oklahoma All-Decade team and some to the Power 5 All-Decade team, which, judging by your career is not really a surprise. But for Oklahoma, there's been so much talent that has come out of there. Guys like Marquise Brown, D.D. Westbrook, Sterling Shepard, Jalen Saunders, Justin Brown, Kenny Stills. The list goes on. So what do you think has made OU such a good producer of top talent at that position?
Man, I think you can just go back to the very beginning, man. The Barry Switzer days, and then obviously Stoops came in. There's always been high caliber players, no matter really what position it was. But yeah, to make any good receiver, you've got to have quality quarterbacks. And so Stoops definitely had that early 2000s. And then obviously at my time, I played under a Heisman quarterback, Sam Bradford, in 08 and 09. And then obviously the younger guys now have the prolific quarterbacks. We just had Jalen Hurts this past year. Obviously, everyone knows Kyler Murray before that. Heisman guy, Baker Mayfield, Heisman guy, and I think we got a couple Heisman guys on our roster right now. But yeah, it starts at the quarterback position and just all around having great athletes. Offensive line was always good, the defense was always good, and giving us an opportunity. And then, if you have a powerhouse offense or really varsity, like Oklahoma, you get the greatest coaches. So it's really an all-around deal. And then Oklahoma, Norman, Oklahoma is a great place. We breed football. We love football. So it just makes for a whole great football atmosphere. And guys that come here, they produce, man.
What was your favorite part of being in Norman, Oklahoma? What makes it so special?
Well, it's home, man. I grew up here, so I really don't know much else outside of going to Detroit when I play in the NFL. But it's home, man. It's a good place, you know. I wouldn't say it's a small town, but most people would think so. It's the third biggest city in Oklahoma, just over 100,000 people. So for most people, it would be small, but here in Norman or here in Oklahoma, it's a big city. It's a great place, good school system. You know, it's a safe place to be in. Like I said, you know, we love sports here. So I think that's what makes our town so special.
Well, now it's time for our rapid fire segment. I've got 5 questions for you. One of them, actually, you kind of hinted on. The quarterback play at Oklahoma has been exceptional, especially in the past decade or 12 years or so. Who is the best quarterback to play at Oklahoma in the past 10 to 12 years?
The best quarterback in the last 10 to 12 years, man. To be honest with you, the guy that's under center, you know, so they're all going to make plays, man. They all have something to offer. You know, I think Josh Heupel led the way in early 2000s to the Nate Hibbles, to the Jason White, to the Sam Bradfords, to the Landry Jones. Man, the list goes on there.
Well, who's the guy that you hated playing against most at any level, high school, college, or in the pros?
The guy that I hated to play against, Prince Amukamara. I believe he's still with the New York Giants right now. He played at Nebraska. He was always one of my biggest opponents when I was in college. You know, I feel like we always played in the Big 12 championship together. I was one of the better receivers on my team. He was one of the better corners on his team, so we always were matched up. He's a good friend of mine to this day, but he always gave me fits out there.
Well, not including yourself, who's the greatest wide receiver of all time?
Of all time, on any level?
Any level.
Jeez, man. You know, I guess to be politically correct, you have to go with Jerry Rice. But, man, during my day, it was Randy Moss. So that he was always exciting to watch. And then after that, Chad Johnson. You know, receivers, man, they all have something special to offer. But I guess for me, honestly, Randy Moss would probably be one of the guys, not just because what he did on the field, but, you know, it's a guy that I looked up to growing up.
If you could have dinner with any living person, who would it be and why?
Any living person, who would it be and why? That's a deep one, man. Oh, jeez. There's so many, man. But I would probably say Warren Buffett. I think Warren Buffett would be one. Just his business philosophy, I think it trickles down, and no matter what profession you're in, I would love to sit down with him. I think he offers $1 million hour lunch session. So I think that would be my best bang for my buck if I got the wish.
Well, now a little bit of an easier question for you to finish off the segment. What's your favorite song right now?
My favorite song right now? Man, honestly, I'm into music. It'd be more genres. My wife gives me a hard time all the time. I rarely hear words. It's all about the beat and the way it feels. So I'm a BPM guy right now, a little techno, just to get a little buzz. Like I said, I don't listen to words much, so I can't really just give you a name. But what's playing in my household constantly on YouTube or the phone, it's always Michael Jackson. I got a 4-year-old boy, loves to dance, so it's always Michael Jackson.
Oh, man, that's my favorite. What's your go-to Michael Jackson song?
Well, his is Thriller, so I guess right now, if I had to choose, it's got to be Thriller because that's going to be the first one that we play. But All About Us, man, there's just so many great songs. They all have good vibes to them. What is that? I just introduced my little boy to Free Willy. Remember the movie?
Yep.
You might be too young, but Free Willy and whatever that song was, man, it almost makes you want to cry like the main theme song to that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure. One of the first gifts that I got when I was younger was a Michael Jackson's Number Ones album, and I still listen to it pretty much every month.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. All good vibes.
Well, you mentioned that you'd like to have dinner with Warren Buffett, and you made headlines throughout your career, and even now that you've retired now, that you were that NFL player or the pro athlete who was really living pretty conservatively, I guess, about $60,000 a year is what I was reading, and you had a multi-million-dollar contract. Why'd you choose to live that way and kind of live a simpler type of life when you played?
I think I picked up the right books, man, about financial literacy, passive income. I'm really not working for the man when I was done playing. So whatever money I had, it comes in, and I always try to figure out where to invest it instead of spending on liabilities. So Rich Dad Poor Dad was one of the first books that I ever read, really before I got the first check. And it just it just changed my mentality. And me and my wife, when we moved out to Detroit, we didn't have much in college, so we kind of lived that same lifestyle when we got up there. We didn't really buy new furniture. We didn't buy new cars, so it was pretty much easy to transfer, or I guess move there and spend $60,000 was like we were kings compared to what we were spending in college.
Well, you mentioned being up there and playing in Detroit. You got to be playing alongside Calvin Johnson, and he's a really smart guy off the field as well as on the field. What did you pick up from Calvin just getting to be around him?
Man, what did I pick up from him? That's a loaded question too. There's obviously the sports talk and the way he carried himself as a professional on the football field, and there's Calvin Johnson off the field, man. But on the football field, obviously he came to work to be great. He didn't have too many words when he was sitting in the meeting rooms, whereas most receivers crack jokes. He was there to study. He was there to learn. He came to clock in and make plays. And then off the field, he was a real humble guy. Both his parents were teachers, so he always had his head on straight. And life was never too big for him. Him making plays and being an all-pro and things like that, it was like he was destined to do those things. So he showed a lot of humility, and, a lot of guys picked up on that, and I definitely appreciate that, at least seeing that as a young guy.
Well, now you've got a real estate business that I've been reading about. How did you start that, and what's that been like for you?
I actually started that my rookie year in the NFL, man. Like I said, I picked up Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he started talking about assets and liabilities, and one of the biggest assets you can buy is a house. And I picked up some financial books and talked about investing in the stock market. So I played both of those games, and I felt like I had more control on the real estate side. So as I was playing the game of football, I started investing in some properties, and then once I retired, opened up a property management company, started self-managing our properties, and then we started buying more and more properties. And I just put my head down. It worked when I was in the league, and I was like, this is what I'm going to do when I'm done.
How's your business doing right now that you've been going at it for a few years?
Oh, it's good, man. I think we're in a good spot. It's to the point now where we don't have to go search for deals. People, they know what we do now, and they send us probably 2-3 deals a day. And we get to pick and choose what we want to get done, man.
You've recently decided to retire. I'm wondering, with your business and what's been going on there, did that make the retirement decision a little easier for you to know that you have somewhere else to go to outside of football?
Yeah, man. Well, funny story. I retired in 2015 from the NFL, and then I had the opportunity of going to the XFL this past, I guess over the past 6 months or so. Got drafted there before we did contracts and things like that. But, I had it's tough to walk away from a multi-million-dollar business, and then I have a little boy that was just born. He was a month old yesterday, so it was just tough to walk away from those things, man. I love the game of football, but I think I'm in a new phase of my life right now. I have to feed some people of my family, obviously, so it's just a different mentality right now. I knew football wasn't gonna last much longer, and I'm just at the beginning of my real estate career, man. So I'm excited to continue to attack that.
Yeah, and you mentioned the XFL. You were drafted into play, as you said. Do you think this rendition of the league can make it? Can they make it work? The AAF couldn't get it. The XFL the first time didn't. Do they have a shot now to make it happen?
Well, I think they do. I think at least for me, I wanted to be a part of something that was fresh. Obviously, it wasn't new. They were 20 years ago or so, but they've got good organization, man. They're fully funded for 3 years, which in any business, if you can do that, you can stay alive, you can learn the hiccups and still be able to pay people. So I think they got that. And then obviously this past weekend, there was some good football. Obviously it could be cleaner, but it was a good first week. And then obviously you hear the TV attendance, you hear about, or I guess the people that watched the game, and then you hear about all the people that went to the game. It looks very promising for them.
Do you have a team that you're rooting for?
Well, I got to go to Dallas Renegades, man. My college coach, Bob Stoops, is out there, old quarterback, Landry Jones, one of my good friends, Frank Alexander, playing at DN, man. So I think I got to go Dallas Renegades all day.
Awesome. Well, Ryan, that's all the questions I had for you. Thank you for joining me.
All right, sweet, man. Thank you for having me.
That concludes today's show. Thank you to Ryan and to his agent, Brandy Runyon from Black Diamond PR, for helping to set up the interview. Next week, On the Luke Winstel Show, Trey Harris, 2019 Atlanta Braves Minor League Player of the Year, will join me on the show. We'll talk about his meteoric rise to prominence in the Atlanta Braves system, from a 32nd round pick to a top 25 prospect in one of the 3 best minor league systems in baseball. We get ready for spring training and more with Trey Harris on episode 54, coming next Monday at 8 a.m. I'm Luke Winstel. Thank you all for tuning in to the Luke Winstel Show. This has been episode number 53.